Now, the Christmas period has been marred by a spate of sickening violent crimes, including the Christmas Eve shooting of beautician Elle Edwards in a pub near Liverpool and the stabbing of Claudius Francis at his home in North London on Christmas Day. Lawlessness in Britain has never looked more terrifying. And while Prime Minister Rishi Sunak's pledge to ensure police have enough resources to tackle serious crimes is a step, obviously, in the right direction, Sean Bailey, we have to ask, is it just too little, too late? And what's the real cure here?
My response is we really all hope not. We need to get on top of crime in London. And let me make the point. If you're sat somewhere else in this country, you're wondering, why is everybody always talking about London? Crime is so bad in London now, we're exporting it to have a place through county lines, etc., etc. So it is important that we get on top of crime. But here's the real thing. I've been reading about what Keir Starmer's been saying about what he wants to do about crime.
Yep.
And if you read the top level, it makes perfect sense. He's right, let's go after crime, let's get people involved in resolving crime in their community. But I think where he's made a real mistake, he's talked about criminals as victims. Now, you'll always have a small group within perpetrators of crime who are doing it for survival reasons, mental health reasons, being bullied into it. But if your start point is that all crime can be massaged away, I think you're onto a loser. And also, as well, you have to be able to say to the victims of crime, at some point, we will take these people on your behalf. And if you keep saying to people they're victims, it changes how you do that, particularly when you talk about violent crime. If someone is violent, they need removing from the streets for the safety of us all. Yeah. And I think that needs to be a much stronger line if he really wants to be taken seriously on crime. That's the first thing. And the second thing is we need to get stronger deterrence. And there's twofold. Earlier in the year, we had barristers go on strike. That is a part of our criminal justice system that needs more money urgently. Often the police find people, the court system can't deal with them, so that person in their mind has gotten away with it. When they go back to their community of criminals, it looks like you can do whatever you like and you get away with it. So when people use the word lawless Britain, that's the part that really needs to be looked at, and we really do need to get into the authority of the police on the streets. They need to turn up a bit more and they need to be given the authority they need. And the key part of that is we need to take away from them some of the work they're doing. You ask any police officer in this country what they spend most of their time doing, and they'll tell you two things: paperwork and mental health work. Yep. The mental health work, we should give them other professionals to do it.
I mean, is that part of the real problem as well, that the resources we have, the police, are actually spending too much time doing other things? It's hard for them to actually prosecute. It takes too long to prosecute. And so, yeah, these kids are walking back and going, I kind of got away with it. Because you get a feeling that a lot of young guys now, they know the law very well and they know there's very little chance they're ever going to get nicked.
The single biggest driver of crime is the fact that you will get away with it. So what happens is, we've in London, for instance, we've had a lot of weapons on the streets, and that's because we stopped stop and search. So Sadiq Khan ran on a platform of reducing stop and search, and then what did we have? We had 2 record years of knife crime because people thinking, well, if I'm not going to get stopped, I'll carry a knife, and then the other half of young people thinking, well, everybody else is armed, I need to be armed. We have to give the police the authority to take control of the streets. That's the first thing. And the second thing is we've got to prosecute people. I'm a big fan of tags. With smart tags now, you could keep tags on people as to where they are. And why it's important, it means you don't have to deprive them of their liberty if they haven't done something so bad, but it means that they can't go on and keep reoffending because you simply know where they are.
Yeah. What's your feeling, Emma?
I think I agree with quite a lot of what Sean's saying, but I think it is more complicated than there being one simple answer. We all wish there were one simple answer.
Yeah, of course.
And if we could all magic away crime tomorrow, that would be wonderful. I think mental health is an enormous and under-considered component. And the police are doing a lot of what should be absolutely in another service. We should not be criminalising those who are having mental health issues because that will just send them further down that path. We need to get much more early intervention with mental health support. And if that's taken into the police, it's the wrong approach. And we will reduce the initial offending rates, and we will reduce re-offending rates if we deal much better with mental health in this country. I think Storn is right that we criminalise too many things and prosecute too few.
Yep.
I mean, I think I was on here the other day and we were saying that the rate of conviction for burglary is 5%.
Yeah,
that's appalling. That's ludicrous. Burglary now, the only reason you call the police when you've been burgled is to get your crime number for your insurance, not because you believe anything will happen.
That's sadly true.
And so I think we need to think back to first principles. What should be illegal? Frankly, we need to really think about what should be illegal, what should be lock-upable illegal, what are the other sanctions that we can and should use, and how do we then build a system back from those first principles that works and is effective. And again, I think we need to get away from the day-to-day headline grabbing stuff and think actually, well, this may not please the people who are either on our side or the other side, the ones that we're trying to reach out to. But if it works, I don't care who's shouting at me about it, I will get it done.
Sure. Governor, can I ask you, it does feel that over the last few years we have gone very soft on the criminals, and for the victims, they've kind of been forgotten. You know, the police don't turn up, they don't show up, and it's true. Sadly, you just phone the police so you can get a number, so you can actually make a claim, and that's so wrong. I mean, in so many cases, I think we all must have examples in our own lives of times when, you know, things have happened. The police in the old days would have come, and now they don't. Maybe it's red tape, maybe there aren't enough of them, but what can we do?
Well, it's interesting. Look, when I went into City Hall with Boris Johnson in 2008, we were at a peak of a knife crime epidemic.
Yep.
It was terrible, and we had to tackle the issue of crime. It was the number one issue for the city, but it was an issue for the country as well. And what you have to do is there's political... We've talked about it being a complicated issue.
Yep.
But you have to have political will and the clarity of political will to say that we're going to deal with this. That's what Boris Johnson did in 2008, and we brought knife crime right down, but we put a plan around it. And then you bring together the different leadership elements around this. You've got commissioners. We've also now got police and crime commissioners elected across the country to do something. I challenge people to name who their local police and crime commissioner is, because most people just don't know. And that means there's a lack of accountability and there's a lack of responsibility being taken there. We're all sitting here saying there's a problem with crime. So let's hold people, the political leadership, accountable to dealing with these issues. Let's get those police commissioners. And I've worked with several police commissioners in London. When they were given their priorities, they would then tell the mayor what they could do. And they would be held accountable for taking down homicide, taking down knife crime, looking at burglaries and everything else. And we put political pressure on, and you give them the resources to do it. What we need is the resources. We need to see, when was the last time, Neil, you saw a policeman or woman walking on the street? Just a bobby on the beat. We don't see them. And I know they're out there and they're doing different things, paperwork, dealing with issues that they shouldn't be doing. We need to get the focus on the right activities, the visibility, the right structure and leadership in the Metropolitan Police and the different federations, and then get our politicians. So we've had two Home Secretaries who've been very tough from how the media reported it on the right-wing side of, you know, crime and lawlessness, Priti Patel and now Suella Braverman. They need to deliver on that narrative. Nobody in this country wants this country to be soft on crime. We want to see criminals caught. We want to see the right kind of criminal justice system results. And we want to see the prison service given the skills and capabilities to deal with it. Because it's not just one thing.
Yeah.
We need this agenda. We need it now. And I think when you ask people what are the two main priorities for anyone in the country, one is always the economy. The other is crime and safety and security. So it's right up there, and politicians need to do something about it.
I mean, this is a story that will run and run right through the next year, for sure.